most religious abuse that most of us have experienced has been much less direct or threatening. But if it's not setting you free, that's really the litmus test for me. If it's not setting you free, then you are actually squelching yourself by being bonded to your abuser. So for 10 years of my life, I agonized within the confines of Christianity and institutional evangelical charismatic Christianity around the split between being gay and being spiritual. And finally, I came to some congruence when I remembered some of my most early mystical experiences. Mystical experiences where I not only met the divine and experienced that rush through my body, but I also met the divine in some of my early coming out sexual experiences where people, one person in particular, was physically healed in that process of sharing lovemaking, eroticism, or sexual play together. And what I came back to was, my experience of the divine in my body is the same thing as this mystical experience of the beloved and this mystical experience of making love. So for me, when I started coming back to that and looking at whether this is the truth that sets me free or not, it was the beginning of peeling off the layers or letting go of the ball and chain of feeling that I was doing something or being something wrong, because inherently in my body I didn't feel that until I was taught that. And I was taught that, though, by people who adored me, who loved me, who thought highly of me, who saw me as prophetic, who saw me as a healer, who saw many of the great gifts that I still have. But in seeing me, they had to share their understanding that I had to be, as they understood, straight, or I was not legitimate, or I was not a part of the redeemed, of the saved, of the wholeness or the oneness of God. Obviously, I've come a long way, and I share this story, which is very intimate, very personal, with you because I think there are lots of people who need to know that they can be survivors and thrivers, not only of cancer or HIV, not only of horrible traumatic experiences that we've experienced as a nation of like 9/11, or survivors of racial and profiling and those kinds of things which are embedded in our culture. But I want to address this idea of setting ourselves free and re-examining our religions, whether we are bonded to our abusers, and how we might stay free if we're going to stay in institutions that are religious institutions, or if we need to get out of our religious institutions to have a spirituality that is whole. I don't have the answer for you because it's your journey to discern that. But the question is, am I bonded to my abuser? And am I truly free? And in that question, you set the seeds to germinate for you to survive and to thrive. I know now that my call that I heard when I was a 12-year-old child to not only embrace the divine and not only to accept that I was a minister of the good news, that call is what I do every day of my life. That call is through this queer body, through this queer erotic body, through this queer body that has wisdom that the whole tribe of all of us need. And it's that I want to share with you, and I want to thank you for whatever this stirred up inside of you and getting you thinking about this conversation of how are you a survivor and a thriver? What's your own personal, intimate story of separating yourself out from any kind of abuse to be free? So thank you, and namaste.